Hi, well, I haven't made a video blog in a few weeks now, I think, and I'm trying to figure out some things, and this is kind of about self-improvement toward other people. This theme is basically about adult children, if you're at least 18 on up. About respect for your parents. There are a lot of people out there that as adults don't respect their parents. I will admit to a degree that I don't always respect my mother as much as I could, and maybe I say things back to her that are not always nice. Maybe I'm spoiled or haven't learned to respect people the way I should, and I'm really trying to work on that to an extent, and I am doing a little bit better. Well, my brother is even worse, and I'm not going to name names, say who he is, but he tends to have an even worse attitude toward my mother and seems to hold some kind of grudge against her, because he claims that she deprived him of a lot of fun in his life when he was growing up. And apparently he didn't realize that until he got to be, at some point as an adult, I think after he got married. At this point now he's divorced. He has 3 children that he thinks the world of and would do anything for them. And he's not a rich person. No, he makes a modest living. He has to pay child support. And, he doesn't have to spend a lot of money on his kids. He'll take him out to eat, take him to get fast food, or occasionally he'll take him out to, the boys out to the laser quest, where they can play that game where they tag each other with the laser. And, but basically, they don't mind not being able to do a whole lot, I guess, as long as they're with their father. But, still, as much as my brother claims to respect and have a lot of sentimental feelings toward people that he knows in his life, and in the past, and he can't be with them now, maybe they moved away, or they have their own life, and I think there was one that went off to the military or something like that. And he'll talk about him a lot, like on Facebook or something. But it seems like the person he disrespects the most would be my parents. Of course, with my dad, he's had some problems. We've always had problems with him because my dad was very abusive verbally and emotionally. So in a way I can't blame him on that, but he should still have a certain amount of respect. Like, I don't wish death on anybody, even if they're really mean and they don't care, or they're complacent about whether they care about you or not. But I would just want to avoid them and not say much to them. Okay, so my mother, my brother is living here because he can't afford to live on his own, even on the income he makes, which is pretty good. It's not like, a lot like a big, huge businessman, but it's still fairly modest. And so, he pays bills and he pays child support and stuff like that, but he doesn't always have respect for my mother, which she lets him live here for free. He does not pay anything on rent. Occasionally he'll borrow some money from her, and sometimes he will pay her back. But he's living here not paying rent. Okay, I'm on supplemental security income, which is not as much as I would like it to be, and I pay $100 a month in helping on the utilities and stuff here, which is all I can give. And then I've had to reimburse her for some other things when I borrowed some money before on some things I really needed. So sometimes she asks him for his help to move a chair or to do something like that. Keep in mind, my mother, she's 66 years old. She can't do as much as she used to do, but she still looks good for somebody her age. You'd think she was more like 50, 55. But, I mean, she's at the point where she can't do a lot of moving furniture around and extremely hard work anymore. So, you know, she might ask him, could you do this chair for me? Move this chair for me out of the room. Because right now she's cleaning up this room real good and she's going to paint. Okay, so he gets this attitude. He picks up the chair and he says, this is not heavy, it's light. And it's as if he thinks, well, if I can do it, you can do it, without even saying so many words in that. So he implies that she should be able to do everything on her own. There are very few things he actually understands that he should do himself. You know, like the electronic stuff on the computer and stuff that she doesn't know because she's not technically inclined. So I'm not really sure. I try to keep peace with my brother. We've never had any kind of argument since he's lived in this house the last almost 3 years. And so, you know, I don't like to make waves. And sometimes he has an opinion about things. And I'm afraid that, you know, if I express my own opinion and tell him I don't believe in what you say, I mean, I don't believe your opinion. You can have your opinion, but it doesn't mean I agree with it. You know, I'm afraid to get all controversial or conflict or confrontational, you know. But sometimes I just feel like saying something to him like, you need to learn to have a little more respect. I mean, you're 42 years old, and you act like you're 10 years old toward your mother or our mother. And you need to mature and stop holding a grudge against her and blaming her for your so-called self-pity or whatever it is that he's having. You know, he needs to lighten up and let it go. And she gave him life. She gave birth to him. And if he hadn't been born, what he calls his great kids that he loves and would do anything for them, they wouldn't be here today because of that. And so, you know, I'm really concerned about this disrespect. And I admit I've been disrespectful to my mother a lot of times, but there are a lot of things I do respect about her. And so, you know, sometimes I give her a hug or tell her something. I say, well, you deserve to be treated better than that. I realize that, and I admit it, and I swallow my pride. You know, I try to swallow my pride. And sometimes we don't like each other, and we do have conflicts. But basically, we get along about 3/4 of the time. So, anyway, I'm really concerned about the way that people treat their parents. I think it's really bad, especially if your parents did what they thought was good for you growing up. You know, maybe they were a little bit strict or something, but, you know, you can't blame your parents for everything in your life the way it is now. If you feel like you were deprived as a child, you know, let go of the past and just move on. You know, you can change your own thinking. It's up to you to have the right attitude. It's not somebody else that makes you act the way you do, necessarily. For the most part, you decide how you're going to act and how your attitude, how you're going to be. I choose to be happy. I didn't always have a happy childhood, but it seems that in my life, a lot of the memories I think about are good memories that seem to overpower the not so good memories. Like with my dad being abusive to us, emotionally, verbally. We did get whipping some when we were young with the belt, but he didn't beat us till we were bruised or anything like that. But anyway, I just think that there should be a little more respect for people and understanding that, put yourself in your parents' position and think that maybe there are some things that they can't do anymore that you can do for them. They brought you up, and if your parents had at least a good amount of love for you, and they treated you fairly good and pretty good, and gave you food and let you go to places like Six Flags or something like that, and your baby, they raised you and they gave you food and changed your diapers and all that, and they loved you, and they didn't do it because they thought they had to, then, what's the problem? It really bothers me. And you should really respect your parents more. A lot of people celebrate, they have the Mother's Day and the Father's Day where they honor their parents. And these are man-made holidays. And even the Bible, I'll try not to get too religious here or anything for you. I don't want to offend anybody. But even the book of the Bible says that you should honor your father and your mother. And it may not necessarily mean you have to like them. You may not like your parents for some reason, but you should still have a certain amount of respect for them. And be concerned for their welfare. Make sure they're getting along okay in their health and everything. But anyway, if the Bible says that, and then if there's these human traditions, man-made traditions of Mother's Day, Father's Day, even then there's a Grandparents' Day,